For now, I think it's time to ask my co-host here. And
Me?
then in that last game that you were playing, did you save when you were done with it?
Shit.
Lame.
I don't think I did.
Brodey, how the past couple weeks been going for you? What's going on?
It's been going good. Work's back in full swing. I am in school full swing right now, so it's busy, and unfortunately, it's a sad time to be busy with all the gaming coming up. But we're definitely gonna squeeze every last drop that we can out of it, and hopefully play the amplitude of games that are coming up.
So what's
But,
what's school been like for you? You know, with the whole
So I'm actually
everything
going
on.
through my capstone right now, which is I'm for everyone who knows, I'm in school online finishing up my bachelor's in game programming and development, and I'm actually developing like my own. I wouldn't call it like a full game, but it's like a polished proof of concept for my capstone. So it's busy. I'm in like the planning stages of it right now. And I have to wait for like feedback from my professor to actually get rolling with it. So I had to submit like a 15-page design doc on it. But yeah, it's online, so I've been in the swing of online things before. Everything kind of went full online before this shitstorm of a world started.
So what's feedback like? Is it like
So
emails? Is it like a
basically,
call, like a phone call, or?
it's pretty much emails. I do have calls that I have to set up in like different stages of the project, but I don't think that's not for like a couple weeks. But basically, I had to write up this like big design doc. It was like 15 pages long, detailing what my project is going to be, and he has to like approve it, and then he'll get back with feedback and stuff. If anything needs to be changed and tweaked, we'll work it out. But this is like the big thing before you graduate, so it's like it's pretty legit.
Man, that's so exciting. I wish I had exciting things like that going on for me.
I mean, I don't know if it's exciting,
No,
but
man,
I,
that's
I just want to
exciting.
be
That's
done. I just want
Yeah,
to be done.
I bet. But you're
It's been
working
so long.
towards, you're working towards, your future, and I think it's something that you love. So, hard work seems hardworking. Annoying now, but man, that's all gonna be worth it in the end.
The payoff will be nice. Yeah, for sure.
I've kind of
Oh,
just
sure.
been sorry, what was that?
Oh, I didn't say anything. Sorry, I think I moved my mic. Yeah.
Um yeah, honestly, I know it just ties in with the podcast, and I wish that I had something going on that didn't kind of involve like what we're talking about today, but mainly, man, I just been prepping for next gen gaming. I'm really looking forward to the PS5. Just trying to get a hold of one was,
Mm-hmm.
a thing. Luckily enough, I had like a
The pain in the
a,
butt.
a good friend that was able to hook me up
Oh
with
yeah.
one. Dude, Wormwood is trying so hard. Like, my company's trying so hard to get one right now to do for like giveaways and stuff. But mainly, it's just been just little things that we're working on at work. I'm helping the media team work on some stuff right now. They have some
Nice.
really we have some really fun ideas that we're going to be
Ooh,
doing for the holidays, because we always
nice.
we always just do like fun stuff. And this year we're doing something like really different. We're basically, without giving any spoilers, where we're going to be telling a story. We're going to be
Mm.
telling a fun story this holiday.
Is this kind of like along the lines of the Halloween riddle that kind of went down?
Maybe it falls along the same lines as we're trying to do more fun things like that.
Right. Right.
Not necessarily like hidden riddles all the time or something,
Yeah.
but um yeah, it's just what we have going right now. It's like such a good idea, and we have like all the graphics coming in
That's awesome.
from our graphic designer and everything, and it's so over the top, but just so genius, and I can't wait to see the outcome. And I'm gonna be helping out, in every way I can.
Nice.
So
Yeah, it's gonna be really cool to see come to fruition. Something like that like engaging after all the planning. I'm sure that's rewarding in itself.
absolutely. The thing is, it's like a story, so it's gonna happen over time. So like the end satisfaction won't be revealed until like the end of December-ish, just to
Right,
give a little
right.
hint of what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it should be cool.
Cool.
Basically just grinding out at work, the
Mhm.
usual.
The usual. We're both in it.
So what are you currently playing right now? Any good games you're working on? Something besides your our normal games that we're playing all the time with friends?
So I don't think this was kind of tricky for me this week because I haven't really started anything brand new
Gotcha.
in the past 2 weeks, kind of getting ready for the next wave of games. Like today alone, I think I pre-ordered 4 games for the PS5 and then like one for the PC. So I definitely didn't. I knew this was going to happen, so I didn't want to get wrapped up into anything too time constraining. But what I have gotten back into recently with some friends is Overwatch. So
Oh my.
currently playing some Overwatch, which for anyone who doesn't know, I'm assuming most of the people do know. Overwatch is a game from Blizzard, came out in 2016. It is a team-based multiplayer first-person shooter, I guess you can call it, where you have 2 teams that are comprised of tanks, damage characters, and support characters. And you need to capture points, defend points, hold areas, and it's just a fun little skirmish. Yeah, I used to play the crap out of it when it came out. I was super heavy into the competitive scene for Overwatch for a year or two, then kind of dropped off because the game got really messy. There's so many characters and balancing issues and stuff, so I stopped playing. But the good friend Skebras kind of dragged me back into it in the past couple weeks, so we've been just like not getting sweaty, but just having fun with it and testing the water since it's been a little while.
Cool. So you haven't done any like ranked or anything yet?
I don't think we've played any comp. No, we did some. I think it's mainly just been like the arcade, like classic, classic matches. So it's just like one defending, one attacking, pretty much.
All right. So who's your main right now?
That's tough. I'll give you one from like each section.
Yeah.
So
One.
like if
Give
I'm
me one
tanking,
DPS.
yeah,
One support.
one tank.
And one tank.
So the tank Zarya. Zarya was always my main in comp, like way back in the day on Xbox. She like, oh my god, I go ham with Zarya. She's crazy. If not Zarya, probably Roadhog. And then DPS mostly. Now I find myself using McCree a lot more because he's much easier to use on mouse and keyboard than console. You have much finer precision. But my main back in the day used to be Pharah, 100%, or May. It's so hard because I played so many characters. And then support,
they're
definitely.
Dude, what are they like? 40,
60 something, I think,
60,
something like that.
Like
it's stupid, yeah.
Holy Toledo.
And I think Moira is probably the support main for me.
Cool.
Yeah, it used to be Zen, but a lot of Moira.
Yeah, Zenyatta used to be my main character.
Zenyatta's a lot of fun.
I miss competitive Overwatch. It was such a blast.
It's a blast, absolutely. I'm curious to know what it's like now with the queuing system too though. Because you kind of have to pick if you're gonna queue up as a DPS or whatever now.
Yeah, I
You
thought
can't
that
just
was
go into
cool
it.
heading back into it myself after a while and just seeing the changes that they. So like before you even go into it, not even a rank, but like even a quick play match.
Yeah, quick play too. That's
you
right.
You need to specify your roles, which it makes sense. I guess that works for queuing. So yeah, just seeing all the changes that have occurred over the years, pretty interesting.
It's wild, yeah, and it's all because of like the play style of people too. It's kind of evolved because of the community, which is super interesting, especially for like a Blizzard game.
Oh yeah.
So what you playing?
So I've actually started up a lot of games over the past couple weeks. A couple I will mention just quickly. I've been playing a little bit of Divinity. Project Diablo 2,
right?
Which is basically a fan rework of Diablo 2 with added like seasons and constant patches and everything, which is really cool. It's
I want to try it so bad.
Yeah, it's really cool to see some new life breathed into Diablo 2. I think this will probably people always try to. There's been a bunch of fan mods. There's been Path of Diablo, Median XL,
Hmm.
and they'll gain a lot of traction. People will be like, oh yes, like finally, like something new with Diablo, and then it'll last like a little bit. But this one seems more on the money, and there's a lot of care going into it, and I think this will give Diablo 2 some life for at least the next 6 months or so. I don't
Right.
want to say until Diablo 4 comes out,
That'll
because
be a while.
we will never know when that will be.
Yeah.
But so that's cool. I mean, I guess I just basically broke that down. But my main game that I've really been enjoying is Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Yes.
It's so good. So my buddy and I,
It's so good.
whenever my buddy comes over, we normally always have like a game we're working on. And so like first thing we do when he gets over is we'll browse the deals on the eShop. We'll just look around, see if anything new came out.
Hmm.
And Crypt of the Necrodancer, it always has my eye because it always goes on sale for like $4, down from 20. I'm pretty sure it's a lot cheaper on Steam. But so it's like, you know what, let's try it out. And man, is this game phenomenal. So the game works. Your navigation is all tempo based. So you have this awesome song playing in the background, right? Your two characters, it's a little call it like a you're in like a procedurally made dungeon, and you're
Yep.
moving through them, and basically you have enemies you got to kill. It's pretty simple on the action end, but the main part of the game is the movement. I think it's so cool how they do this. So there's a heartbeat meter on the bottom, and then you have lines coming in based on whatever the tempo is. If it's a faster song, obviously you're gonna have a faster tempo.
Mhm.
Slower song, a slower tempo, and you can only move. You can only hit your movement arrows based on that tempo. So just say if it was like a like a da 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 song, it's like that. I can only do click click up right up left down. So you got to follow the tempo, and it's really cool because the game started with the hardest thing actually being the movement. Like it's like, all right, as someone who I've been drumming most of my life, so I'm like, oh, like keeping tempo, that'll be easy. And it's
Yeah.
not at first. It's really hard because not only are you trying to keep tempo, but you're also trying to balance strategies to kill the enemies in front of you. So the enemies, they follow their own tempo within the tempo.
Yep.
So just say example, tempo is 80 beats per second. They could be doing like 40 beats a second, like doing their own movement, and you kind of have to memorize their movement patterns to be able to attack them properly. So not only are you trying to keep up initially with trying just figuring out how to move properly, because you build up like a tempo. If you're off on a movement, like you lose like your, I think it was like a gold bonus that you build up. So if you keep tempo, then say instead of killing a monster and getting, I don't know, 2 gold, if you got a high tempo, you'll gain more gold.
Yep.
And the thing is, like, I was so focused, like I found myself like nodding, trying to keep the beat. I find myself banging my foot just to try to keep the beat with the movement.
The more you're into it, the easier it gets to really follow along to it.
And as I played, I found out that like the movement actually becomes so natural over time. Like you get better at it. It becomes like you don't even need to be a music person to, or just have like a natural, metronome or tempo
Mhm.
to be able to be good at it. People are like, oh, I'm not a music person. Maybe this game would turn me off. But no, it's like you just like in any other game that you adapt with and get better, you actually just learn how to do the movements better.
Exactly.
It becomes like a thing rather than like a internal metronome. It actually becomes a skill.
Yep.
So yeah, this game's a blast. Once you get the movement down, then you can actually start to strategize, how you're going to take out enemies and, just get into the next level. And if you die, it's just like, it's roguelike. So
Yep.
you just go right back to start and you start
Just
all
run it
over
through again.
and you
Yeah, I
collect.
remember it being like super tricky to get into when I first played it on the
It's so
Switch.
tricky, dude, but
once
it's
you
so
get
good.
it feels so good to play.
It's so tricky, but you don't want to give up on it. It's so
Exactly.
good.
Now, what is the co-op like? Because I only played it single player.
So
So,
the
how does that
co-op,
like change how the game works?
So it's a little tough with the co-op, because with single player you kind of just follow your own tempo.
You just go, yeah.
You're just kind of going, and just say your partner is slightly off or you're slightly off. You notice that as they're moving around, and it kind of just throws off your internal metronome. But
Yeah.
literally the best part about the game is getting better at it. So like at first you're like, both you guys are off beat and you're just trying to figure it out. And then, you know, a couple hours in, you just notice both of you guys like doom doom doom.
When
Like
you're in sync.
everyone's moving in sync, and it's such a satisfying thing. And man,
That's
this game is
awesome.
great. I could not recommend this game.
Yeah, it's
I
great.
couldn't recommend it enough. It's so damn good.
It's the perfect, just kind of like laying in bed Switch game too. Like it's awesome.
So, Brodey,
Mm-hmm.
that's a game we are looking forward to. What's a game you think someone may not know about, but you really enjoyed yourself? A good little sleeper game.
Sleeper, yes. For my sleeper this week, I we skipped the upcoming game. That's why I was ready for it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Go
No,
to
you're
that
fine.
upcoming game.
You're breaking my
That's
mojo.
me. That's me rewinding. I can't really do the sound.
We'll edit it out. It's fine. We'll cut it out.
Yeah. I'll hit up my editor.
Yeah.
My guy. Brodey.
Yeah, what's up, Paulie?
Tomorrow dawns a new age.
Shit.
But we can get into that later. What is a game that you are looking forward to that's coming out?
Oh boy. So tomorrow there's a game coming out. Finally talking about a game that's relatively soon. It's a little bit of a remake that is happening called Demon Souls.
Oh, tell us about it.
Oh boy, I am ready to dive head first. Demon Souls is the first Souls-like game that came out for the PS3 back in 2009, and it kind of, I don't want to say Demon Souls revolutionized like the Souls genre, because I think Dark Souls did that more than Demon Souls did, but it set the way for it. Demon Souls is an action RPG where, of course, it's ridiculously hard. And it's farming, a lot of big boss fights, and then you need to basically kind of like learn the styles of the bosses, defeat them, and get to the end of the game. Dark Souls are brutal, or Dark Souls games are brutal. Everyone knows it. But Demon Souls is kind of like the most removed too out of the Dark Souls, because like Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 are kind of like, they all have the same style, and Demon Souls is very different in my opinion, from like the enemies to like the combat and everything. But Bluepoint Games, which is a studio that also did the Shadow of the Colossus remake, the Uncharted collection, the God of War collection, a lot of Sony remakes basically, is helming this project, and boy does it look freaking beautiful. Oh my god, I remember the reveal trailer during the PS5 event and seeing the first gameplay. Like, holy shit, if you look at them in comparison, they look like completely different games. Like, it's crazy. They're even like refining the mechanics and the gameplay a little bit. I'm so excited. It's such a brutal game, and I remember when it first came out, I didn't even get it. My friend got it, and I was over his house, and I was like, "What are you playing?" He's like, "This game called Demon Souls. Like, it's so hard, I can't do it." And I take the controller, I'm getting like immediately into it. I kill like the first couple enemies, move on. He's like, "I haven't even made it past this part." It's just so, it's so fun. It's so grueling. It's so enjoyable. But yeah, Demon Souls coming out tomorrow. Already pre-ordered. PS5 exclusive. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, I can't wait to play that. I need to finish Dark Souls first.
You need to finish Dark Souls.
I don't know how far I am. Maybe like 50% through Dark Souls.
You finished off. Yeah, you're. I think you're a little over halfway.
All right. Well,
yeah.
If you wanted to tell me I was a little further, I wouldn't hate you for it. Man, that game is
You're so close to the end.
That game is so
brutal.
much, man.
It's
But I
brutal.
love it. It's like
Yeah.
I love it, but it's so frustrating. But I love it.
It's one of the games where like when you're good, it feels very good. When you're kind of just like dodging around a boss, like not getting hit at all, doing crazy amounts of damage, you're like, fuck yeah, I'm powerful. Let's do this.
Uh,
It's awesome.
yeah, I think I don't. That's definitely not going to be a day one for me
That's fair. Yeah.
for the PS5, but it's definitely on my list.
It's so hard. We'll get to that. We'll get to it later. But yeah, what's your upcoming game here?
So I have. I'm excited you didn't say this because we've been really excited to play it together and with
I figured.
friends.
Yeah.
But Godfall, you know, it's been a while since I had that like, you know that feeling you get when, you know, like when you were a kid, like a new Pokemon game or just something. Like
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really had that with a game in a while. One where I was just like you know, like Assassin's Creed. It's like, oh yeah, you know, a new Assassin's Creed. This is gonna be great, which I'm playing by the way, and it's awesome. Because I know I said that on the last podcast,
Yeah.
and you know, it's just like I don't know if it's a thing of just getting older or what, but I haven't been this excited for. I think it's the multiplayer aspect that is getting me really excited for this.
Definitely.
'Cause
Yeah.
there really isn't that game out there right now, and I'm not saying this is going to be the one. I have no idea. There's actually not a lot out about this game. I was
It's super weird. There wasn't a lot
Yeah,
before.
so this is
like,
Godfall.
today.
So this is Godfall. It's coming out for the PS5, I think the PS4 and the
I
PC.
believe so. And PC. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Sounds
interesting
right.
what I mean. We can actually get into that later.
Mhm.
But I actually saw that this game was console exclusive for a certain amount of time for 6 months, which I've never seen before. So apparently, it can't release on the Xbox for 6 months minimum.
I think that's happened a couple times, but it is weird
I've
how
seen it happen
it's
with
happening.
like Call of Duty, like DLCs and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
exclusive stuff. Yeah,
But
yeah.
it was really interesting to see with just like a game, you know, like.
A full game.
But that was interesting. But anyways, Godfall, it looks like a looter adventure. You got, I think you can go max 3 players on multiplayer,
Yeah.
and it's basically you got your characters. It's very you kind of get a Destiny feel for it. I think the first impressions when I saw it were take away the FPS or the shooter aspect of Destiny, replace it with hammers, swords, you know, bow and arrow and
The
stuff like
weapons look
that.
sick, by the way.
The weapons look so
Oh
cool.
my goodness.
So we actually got a little first taste of it today. I was a Twitch streamer was playing it. A big streamer probably, you know, got paid to play it, and
There were a few that were paid today.
yeah, and it was really sometimes you get so hype about a game because there's not like a lot coming out, and then it finally comes out and you're just like but you know, watching it today I was like, this actually looks really fun and really exciting.
It looks
And
very good.
it just looks really good. I think the game is about about your loot grind. So obviously you got to grind it out with friends. You probably got to do, you know, dungeons. I don't know if they'll have raids in the future. I want to have more info about it, but I really don't. Just know that
I don't
it's
think we're gonna
basically
until we just play it.
until we just play it. It's basically like it looks like a hack. I think the term hack and slash makes it really, I don't know, it feels like a dated term because a hack and slash kind of feels like a old term when, you know, it's like literally all you can do in the game is hack and slash.
Yeah.
But these new age hack and slash games, like, you know, something like Diablo is like a hack and slash, but it really is just like, you know, it's not. It's way deeper. You know, you got move sets, you got different weapons. It's gonna be. It looks really good, and I'm excited to talk about it next podcast.
Oh yeah.
I wish I had more on it, but we really don't know a lot about it.
There was very little besides like the launch trailer, a few gameplay trailers, and like that's it. They've been weirdly quiet about it, but
So we'll see. I mean, it's Gearbox Publishing. You know, obviously Gearbox isn't developing it. I think it was like a newer a newer age developer. They've
I
worked on things
believe we
like
looked it up. It's like a lot of devs
yeah,
from different studios formed a
kind of coming
studio.
together for this. So it's
Yeah, a
pretty
lot of
cool.
it, like vets, which was cool to
It's
see.
great to see the Gearbox name on it, you know, so it's kind of like
Yeah.
an endorsement type thing.
And if they're going to do a looter, obviously Gearbox knows what they're doing with Borderlands, you know, so I'm sure they're giving them some direction.
So I'm really excited for Godfall. Should be fun.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So fast forward from the rewind from before. Sleeper game. What do you got? What would you recommend to our amazing listeners that maybe they haven't played it before, but you know, you might grab their attention.
Yeah, I was struggling with this one this week too. I don't know why. But the game that I came up with for my sleeper game, which people may have heard of, may have not heard of, it's actually two games. It's a prequel and a sequel game, but I put them together because they're both amazing. It's Transformers War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron.
Interesting.
Did you play those?
You know, I know a lot about them.
Okay, so War for Cybertron came out in 2010 and Fall of Cybertron came out in 2012, and they're both Transformer games, obviously.
Right.
They're like third person action games, shooters, because obviously they're like Transformers. And the games are set on Cybertron, like during the Civil War between the Autobots and the Decepticons. And obviously, you know, from the Michael Bay movies, we get a lot of craziness about everything happening on Earth and like a little bit of lore here and there. And I wasn't super into Transformers like as a kid, so I had never really gotten like the animated series or anything like that, and never got to see what like the lore, like what was happening on Cybertron. So I was always curious about that. I was like, will they ever bring this to the movies? You know, all this stuff. And when I saw the trailer for War for Cybertron, I was like, this is like kind of what I want. Like, I want to see like the nitty gritty of like how all this started, you know, the beef between like Optimus Prime and Megatron. Like, I want to see where all this came from. And that's kind of what the game's delivered. Like, the Transformers War for Cybertron kind of delivered the build up and during the war and kind of like the battle of it. And then Fall of Cybertron obviously was like the end of the war, after they left, and or like towards when they left and everything like that. But yeah, the game is great. The plot is like, it's very cool. Like the story is awesome. Huge, like spectacular set pieces, obviously on this cool robot planet. The action is amazing. It's funny, like, you know, it's the Transformers, so they're like quippy. And actually, a part of like what I really enjoyed about these games is the multiplayer. They had a multiplayer in both of them, and it was like team based. You know, your different little Autobot or Decepticon, you can customize them, give them different like skins and weapons and stuff. It was actually a blast. Like, it was so much fun. And the game wasn't as like detailed as the movies. It was more of like the classic style Transformers, kind of like more low poly versus like all these different jagged metal pieces. So they made some pretty cool looking Transformers that you could play in the game. But yeah, it was a blast. I love those games. I was super excited, and they delivered, and I highly recommend them. I think it's Xbox 360 and PS3 and possibly PC is what you can play them on.
I know
tough.
it's definitely on the 360.
Yeah.
I remember.
I think I played them 360. I don't remember which one I played them on, but I played them on one of them, and they're awesome. So
well, I'm happy to hear you recommend them. I know there were some of the games, the Transformer games, that weren't received very well.
There's some pretty bad ones.
So when you said that, I was like, ooh, this should be exciting.
No, yeah, High Moon Studios did these, and they kind of like they nailed them. Like, I thought they were awesome, and I know they got pretty decent reviews across the board too. So yeah, if anyone wants to go back and have a little Transformers fun, I definitely recommend them.
Cool, I like it. That was a good one. So for my sleeper game this week, I have I'd call it a game. I don't know if it's less of a game and more of a program, but I'd call it a game. It's called Clone Hero.
Oh.
So Clone Hero is basically what it sounds like. It is a clone of Guitar Hero. The cool thing about it is there's a there's a website where you can download songs from, and they have so much songs, and they sync up really well. And it's, I mean, I want to stretch this out as much as I can because it's really good. So yeah, basically there are songs, obviously a lot of it is fan based and fan made. So some songs will have, only the expert guitar parts. Some songs will literally have easy, medium, hard, expert guitar, bass, vocals, and drums on it. So you are able to use, if you have your old Rock Band,
the drums,
the microphone, the drums, anything like that. There are a lot of songs that allow those accessories to be used, which is cool because the back then Rock Band was really great. I loved Rock Band. Getting together with friends and playing Rock Band was awesome. The thing is, past the stock list of songs it came with, it kind of got dull after a while.
Yeah, I agree.
So the ability to, as someone that listens to like a lot of heavy metal and stuff, to be able to just go there, type of band like, I don't know, like Fit for an Autopsy, and they literally have like a whole album's worth of songs just ready to go. It's just like there's people making these, and it's just like, it's not just like your generic, I don't know, Lady Gaga, Taylor Swift, and all this stuff. It's like a big community is making these, keeping this alive. So it's really cool to see. Trying to think if there's anything more to it than just like the basic, kind of open source Guitar Hero. But I think
that is the big part of it, really.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that it is open source.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much all there is to it. But the thing is, I didn't know about it until recently, which I was very surprised about because, I used to play Guitar Hero and Rock Band a lot, like a lot. So if someone like that was a big fan of it didn't hear about it, I can only imagine how many other people have actually heard about it,
Yeah, it's really not that well known, which is kind of crazy.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. Clone Hero. If you guys have, your old guitar, drums, want to break them out to some,
Get that
some underground hip hop or some heavy metal or some country or whatever you hooligans are into these days. Kids and your kid
Music.
stuff. Yeah, I recommend it. I couldn't recommend it anymore. It's great to have. It's
Nice.
free. Can't go wrong.
Kind of sucks with Twitch in the state that it's in right now, but
Yeah, you can't really look at it as a content streaming game.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But, besides that, it's good stuff. Yeah, so I've had to stop myself many times
Same.
just so we can hold it all in for our main topic of this week. We are
The meat.
it's the dawn of a new age. About every 7 or 8 years this happens. This is
Heralds have called.
it's a very rare day. It is the calm before the storm. Tomorrow, technically yesterday.
We're in the middle of it right now.
Yeah,
Technically,
we're in the middle of
yesterday.
the storm.
Yep.
The next gen consoles. Our main topic this week is next gen gaming. What's on your mind? We'll keep it broad. Keep it as
What is
broad
on
as
my
possible.
mind? So
What is on
yesterday,
your mind?
yesterday we had the launch of the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S. I believe are the two consoles, right? And tomorrow we get the PS5.
Couldn't tell you.
I couldn't
A
tell
lot
you.
of
either.
S's, a lot of X's.
Yeah, but man, like, so I'm trying to like learn from last gen's release because this is what happened. I got the PS4 and I had Infamous Last Light. Or no, sorry, Infamous Second Son. Last Light I think was something else. I don't remember. And like I'm super excited for this console. Like it's gonna be like revolutionary gaming, blah 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 blah. And this also wasn't when I wasn't involved with like game dev and stuff like that. So I kind of was just like thinking just as a gamer in general. And I'm like, this is gonna be revolutionary. And then I had this console, the brand new console, new technology, and I had Infamous, and then the rest of the content was just kind of like bleh. I think Killzone came out, like other games, small games like that.
Killzone is the prime new gen PlayStation release.
Yeah, and I was just kind of like, besides Infamous, which I think is an amazing game, I was kind of underwhelmed with what I got because I was thinking like that this console was just gonna set the bar so high, and I'm like kind of limiting myself with the P. Like I'm super excited, but you also have to think like just because a new technology comes doesn't mean that every single game is gonna be like balls to the walls. You know, it's not gonna be like beautiful graphics, blah 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 blah, because that takes time. You know, developers still have to build something that can harness the power of this technology, and the more something has to look like more beautiful, you know, have deeper mechanics, this is the longer it's going to take. So I am excited with this lineup because it's building off of like a remake, like a beautiful remake. It's building off of a game that already existed. So like you have Spider-Man, Miles Morales is building off of the engine that Spider-Man had, but it's like built for next gen at the same time, which is awesome. And then you have like, I don't know, there's like a Destruction All Stars. I don't think that's gonna do well at all. You have Godfall, which looks beautiful, which is also a PC game, so they kind of were building it for like the 30 series cards and stuff. But I don't think we're gonna see anything right off the bat that's like mind blowing. You know what I mean? But it's still super exciting that we're getting these next gen pieces of technology that will last us probably the next what? Maybe
I think every
5
cycle
years.
is 7-8 years. I think that's been the trend.
Yeah. We'll see though, because technology is getting, you know, it's exponential. So I think we're gonna start seeing that time period.
We really are at a point, dude. And I was thinking this earlier. I think the Xbox most falls into this, where I don't even think Microsoft is investing much in their next gen, especially when it comes to marketing it, pushing it. It's just because I think they're aware that a lot of gaming and a lot of their games in general are moving towards like the newer technology, the stronger technology, which is PC gaming.
They have
You know,
PC,
like
they have Windows on their side.
like so you pay $500 for a new Xbox, you can actually kind of do a self-build PC for that price, and you can get so much bang for your buck, and you can still play all the games that are offered on the Xbox. I think they realize that. I personally think this might be Xbox's last console. Or maybe
I had talked to some people and we had thought the same thing, but I think they came out and said, I mean, this could obviously change, but I think they had said that they weren't planning on this being their last. But who knows, you know?
Yeah, no, I can see them doing something along the lines of the Switch. You know, maybe like portable gaming or stuff, more powerful portable gaming. But I mean, who knows, dude? Who knows what this world is even going to be like in 7 or 8 years?
Yeah, especially if they're doing a shift to like cloud too. I think we might start seeing more cloud stuff coming out from Microsoft. It's gonna like a expensive piece of technology will be irrelevant eventually with the power of having games streamed from this giant server to your screen. You know, that's the push. I think that is the cloud gaming is the future. It's just the technology isn't there yet. So I think that's why this next gen exists right now, pretty much.
It's pretty cool though. So I was looking at the PS5, I was looking at the PS4. You know, it really just seemed like a more powerful system, which I obviously, most new gen systems are. It's just like, oh yeah, the Xbox to 360. It's the same thing, but just, more powerful and stuff like that.
Yep.
Features wise, what are some cool features that you've noticed that the PS5 is including over the PS4? Because I feel like that's something that they're really focusing on here.
Yep. So I have talked about this, I think, multiple times on this podcast already, but my feature that I'm most excited about is the DualSense controller. This isn't, I guess, a feature of the PS5 itself, but obviously, what's coming with it. But yeah, the DualShock is no longer a thing. The new controller for the PlayStation system is called the DualSense. And there are, I guess, really two features that kind of put it a staple above the DualShock. And that's the better haptic feedback that is coming with the controller and the adaptive triggers.
Not gonna lie, I'm kind of using you right now to be my rather than like Google searching it, you're kind of my Google search right now. So please, the floor is yours, my friend.
So yeah, I got you. So the DualSense, starting with the haptic feedback, the the DualSense controller has an improved haptic system that basically, you know, you have an Xbox controller, you have a whatever controller. When your controller vibrates, it just kind of vibrates, right? There's
Sure.
no kind of like sense to it. With the DualSense controller, there's like directional haptic feedback. So like certain parts of the controller are able to vibrate on their own, and you're able to feel your controller kind of like respond to things happening within your software based on like the point of the controller. So like something is to your right, only like the right side, like basically the right side of your controller will vibrate. And this is all from what I've heard and seen in videos. This isn't personal experience, but stuff like that. So if there's, you know, if you're sneaking and kind of like brushing through grass or something, your controller might like spottily like vibrate in different areas, like at a super low vibration to kind of feel like the pushing and trudging through something. Or if there's like bullets whizzing past your head, you'll get this quick buzz like across the controller. I'm like wildly excited. I love haptic feedback. It's gonna be so cool.
I think it's features like that that would push me towards buying a probably more of a single player game. I like to keep the multiplayer games probably on the PC, but it's the features like that that would push me to get a game like, I don't know, Cyberpunk or The Pathless on
exactly
PS5,
on the console,
you know, just to have that extra immersion and fun time, you know.
They definitely started this push of, you know, a more advanced controller with the touchpad. I think the touchpad kind of flopped, and I believe the DualSense still does have the touchpad too. But I think the flop was mainly on the developers and not the console, because they just wasn't taken advantage of.
So would you say it was a flop because it wasn't used, or would you say it was
exactly?
I was gonna say because it was pretty it was a pretty cool thing when it was utilized for the most part.
Yeah, I totally agree. But that's the problem, is developers just didn't want to utilize it, and that comes in a couple different reasons, and I think the main one is accessibility. Not a lot of people can reach across the controller and touch it with their thumb, or use like their other hand mainly and like touch the pad. So that causes a lot of issues when you have like accessibility features in your games. That's just one of them. But
sure.
Second reason, adaptive triggers on the DualSense. So cool. So basically, the adaptive triggers allow for the resistance of you pressing the trigger to be changed dynamically by the game. And I don't know exactly how this works. I'm very interested to feel it out, because I feel like if you pushed hard enough, you could push down the trigger. I don't know exactly what mechanism is stopping it, but say in a game like Call of Duty or something where you have a gun and your gun jams, you wouldn't be able to push down the trigger. It's stuck. So you actually can't fire your weapon. Or things like
wild.
Pushing a door open, I think you can like push it down more slowly versus just being able to like press it. That combined with the new haptic system in the controller is going to give you such a different feel and such a different level of immersion when it comes to playing a game. And I'm just like, I'm off the walls about this controller. I'm so excited. I think other features, it has like better spatial audio coming from the speaker in the controller. But those two are the big things about that, which I'm excited about.
So PS2 or GameCube? Pick one.
Wait, what?
Let's pick one.
That's so hard. I think GameCube. I think there's more classics on GameCube.
PS3 or Xbox 360?
PS3, hands down.
PS4 or Xbox One?
PS4.
I mean, I think we know the answer to the next one. I cycled back and forth. It was interesting. Yeah,
well, I guess
I don't know why.
It is tough.
I feel like the battle never really included Nintendo, just because they were doing something so differently. I felt like the Nintendo systems were like the complement console. Like everyone had a Wii, and then it was like, all right, do you have a 360 or a PS3 as well? You know?
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Nintendo's kind of like always in the middle of the main console war. It's so weird.
It's funny. I mean, it's just like, it's so different what they're doing, you know? Whatever they do is always so different. So like, you know, the Wii, it was just like you can't really compare a Wii to a 360, you know?
Right.
You can't really compare the Wii U to like the Xbox One.
Exactly.
You can't really compare the Switch to like, you know, the PS5. It's
They're
just
always
like
like a half step behind.
yeah,
It's
it's
very
like a
odd.
step ahead in innovation, but like a step behind in like generational, like, you know, power
Exactly.
and performance.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, so it's really interesting. I think
Mhm.
I had PS2 and GameCube. Actually, so I had a PS3, but it like I didn't get it at launch,
Yeah.
and I didn't have one for the longest time, like probably closer to when the PS4 came out.
Okay.
I was more 360, and then instead of an Xbox One, I was a PS4 person. So like I just kind of like kept alternating. But then
Mhm.
I moved towards I got to this point where like the picking one side didn't really like phase me, or it wasn't like a part of anything I thought of or did. I know a lot of people were just like, yeah, if you're, you know, if you're not on Team PS4, I'm gonna come to your house and, you know, freaking burn all your socks, nerd. I don't
Burn all your
whatever
socks. Bullies you.
whatever these
Yeah.
online bully trolls do
I'll
these
tweet
days.
about you.
Oh no, wait, calm down, man. Wait.
Sorry.
We're
Sorry.
live. We're live. I'll cancel you.
Oh no.
But yeah, I don't know. I remember I think I tried to get an Xbox One at the get-go. But I think I forget which order it was. One was so hard to get that I was forced to get the other one.
Mm.
Maybe it was the PS4 was hard to get and I could only get an Xbox. I forget which order it was in. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't really had the new system hype for a while. The Switch was obviously great. I think I was more
Yeah.
excited about
Huge. Yeah.
Breath of the Wild than I actually was about the Switch.
The
though.
actual Switch, right? I think a lot
Um,
of like a lot of people were.
but granted, I think the Switch is one of my favorite consoles of all time.
It
If
is.
not,
Yeah. It turned out amazing.
yeah, if not the.
Mhm.
Trying to think of. So I actually on the Wormwood stream today, to start off the stream, just you know, just hanging out, and you know, shooting the shit with everyone. I wanted to kind of say farewell to all of the exclusives, the Xbox One exclusives, the PS4 exclusives. We did a little tier list. It was less
Yep.
of a tier list and more of just like a trip down memory lane.
Mhm.
And you know what I noticed? Dude, the Xbox didn't really shine by
It
any
has
means.
trash for exclusives.
It had like the Halo and the Gears franchise. I feel like
Mhm.
that's all it has. And
Yeah, yeah.
it
I was
was
just talking with someone like about this a little earlier today, and I think we have discussed this in the past too. It's like, hey, Microsoft has Halo. That is like Master Chief is the icon, right? And that's kind of it. And we're comparing that to PlayStation, where PlayStation has a bunch of these icons, and you can't decide which one it is, but everything is like gold. So when with Xbox, when Halo sucks, the console sucks. With PlayStation, if one of the games sucks, you still have a bunch of other ones to lean on. Like if there's one bad Uncharted, you still have God of War, you still have Crash, you still have Spyro, like a bunch of this other stuff that's there to back it up. And I think that was a huge flop early on for Microsoft, is they kind of like pushed this face of the console, and it was Master Chief.
yeah, and that's all they really had to lean on.
Yep, that's it. And then Gears, which yeah, I think there's just a niche group of people who enjoy the game because it's gory, probably.
Oh, dude, Gears was so good.
Gears is fun. I agree. It's
Gears
just
was
like
so good.
there's how many games?
But
Like
it's
six
like
or seven.
yeah,
Just a lot of the same. I feel like.
I think there's 5 now.
Yeah,
And
and then you have like the spin-offs too.
I miss that. Dude, I think the 360, the Xbox 360 online days were some of like the best days in multiplayer that I ever experienced.
I was gonna go back to my decision of like Xbox 360 and PS3. And like content wise, PS3. Experience wise, I think the 360 has got it beat because of the times with like Modern Warfare 2 with friends and stuff like that. Like that alone kind of set the console to be just not even the console, just the time with the console, I guess, to be like some of the best, you know.
Yeah, I mean the memories, man. You can put a price on that, you know.
You really can. Yeah, like oh my god, countless hours, entire days in high school because of Modern Warfare 2. Like wild.
Do you see yourself ever getting the new Xbox?
I was actually going to ask you this too. Like, what would it take for you to want to get an Xbox? And I honestly, right now, I don't know.
It would
I
be
honestly
for me. It'd be a
don't.
game.
It would have to
It
be
would
a
have to be
game, right?
some sort of like if Cyberpunk was exclusive to Xbox, that might be
Exactly.
enough.
So there is something that might lead up to that, and that's Microsoft's acquisition of Bethesda.
That's
If
very
they start,
interesting. I see
if
that
they
being
start, yeah,
I see that being the only thing is I see it being very just correlated with PC as well. Like they're
that's exactly what I was
I
going to
think
say. We
any
both
game
have powerful gaming PCs. Like, what's the?
so
There's no point.
even if PlayStation loses its ability to have Fallout, Doom, Elder Scrolls, whatever it may be,
New IPs.
yeah, I
What is
think
it
it'll
called?
just
Star
be
System, whatever.
yeah. I think whatever they can come out with on Xbox will also be on PC. So
Right.
I just don't see myself getting the new Xbox, even if I
I don't think I
like
will
not
either.
even like a money thing, not even like a like even if it was handed to me for free,
Exactly.
like it would just be a thing of like what do I what
What do
oh
I have this for?
it's like oh yeah it's like oh you can play this, it's like yeah but I can play that on my computer with,
Oh, it can
you
play
know,
Netflix. That's pretty cool.
a glorified $500
That's
Xbox.
that's what my
Netflix
One X
box.
was for a while. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, no, dude, it was really the only thing that kept my Xbox alive was NHL, just because
Mm.
it's like the only sports game that hasn't really moved over to Steam. I saw like Madden, I saw FIFA's on Steam now.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It all is.
what else? What MLB? I think that's actually a
I think the
PlayStation
show
exclusive.
is now becoming an Xbox title as well,
Oh,
which is interesting.
really? I didn't know
I think,
that.
yeah, because there's no baseball game. They stopped making the 2K, MLB 2K or whatever that was for the Xbox a while back. So I think they're finally doing the show on the Xbox now too.
Yeah, and I can just get I can just literally just get NHL for the PlayStation.
Exactly.
So it's really nothing that there's nothing really like
Yeah.
I wanted there to be a reason. I wanted me to be like, oh well you gotta get it for this, you know?
Yep. They
And
just don't have it this year.
there's just nothing. And it actually kind of gives me some sort of peace of mind.
It's a little
You
bit
know,
of relief,
that
right?
it's like,
You have
oh,
less to
it's
worry
like, oh,
about.
I got to get the Xbox for this. I got to get the PlayStation for this, you know,
Exactly.
and I got to have my PC, you know, for this. And it's
Mhm.
actually, it's just like nice knowing that I'll have my Switch, my PS5, and my computer.
You have that much more space in your TV spend. You're fine. Yeah, the last game that I really like spent time on the Xbox was Monster Hunter World. Like that's the reason I got the Xbox.
Yeah, and all the next Monster Hunters will probably end up just sending on
Switch,
PC.
Switch PC.
Oh
yeah.
well, the Switch
Monster
is
Hunter
getting
Rise.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
I saw that as a little like different
Mhm.
style one.
That's the reason I got what I don't even know what it's called, the Xbox One X, the better version.
Enhanced.
I don't remember what it's called, but yeah, it's the one that does like the upscaling. I have
Yeah,
that in the PS4 Pro.
They call it
Is it the
Xbox One
Xbox
X
One X?
Enhanced.
Yeah,
That's what they call
that's
it.
right. Okay, so it's Xbox One,
That's what
Xbox
you'll-
One X.
Yeah,
That's what I've been saying this whole
a lot
time.
of
Right, right.
S's, a lot of X's, a whole
Come
lot of
I don't
hoopla.
get their naming conventions. But yeah, that's literally the reason. And I think that was the last big game that I put into it. And because it wasn't on PC. And at that point, my friend group was in like the transition period from social life on console to PC. So there was no reason to ever go back to it again. And I still don't see that, which is why I won't be getting an Xbox, because that was kind of like the social console. And now it's not. Like I remember I'd have my Xbox on talking in chat while playing PlayStation games
Right.
because the party was so much better than the PlayStation's parties.
For real. Yeah, it did have a good live experience. I think that is definitely a factor where Xbox One over PlayStation over the past couple of years
They've always had a better social experience.
Between Xbox, the original Xbox and Xbox One, I think it always continuously had a better online experience than PlayStation.
But it looks like seeing like the home OS features, it kind of looks like they're starting to rival it. That was one thing I was going to touch on when you said like the features I'm excited about for the PS5. The home system it's a lot better.
Oh
like
my God.
they have like 2 different homes, and it kind of is confusing, but it makes sense when you see it. And one of them is like revolves around social features, and like the party system is super clean. Everything is quick. You can like jump into a game like automatically with a friend. It's really cool. But I will believe it when I see it in action, obviously.
Sounds cool. Nah, freaking Nintendo, where you at, guys?
I know. That's one more question I want to ask you is, when do you think we'll see the next Nintendo console? Like when the next Switch?
It'll be a Switch Pro. I'm like 95% sure of that. And whenever they need it is when it will come out. I think just whenever there's a dead space, a dead time, whenever the Switch is trending down, the second they see that will probably be when they start getting the hype release. I just think right now it's like a weird time when people can't even get their hands on a normal Switch.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's a good time. I don't know. But yeah, I am really looking forward to it.
Me as well. I hope it comes tomorrow. I still haven't gotten my shipping notification.
I wasn't really. I liked the Switch Lite. I thought it was a great concept and it had a great market. It's the Switch Lite.
Yeah, that's right.
But it just wasn't for me because I'm either using I love the detachable Joy-Cons. I love it. I'm able to detach my Joy-Cons and I can, prop my Switch up, whether it's like on an arm, like one of those clamp arms or something.
Yeah.
And I can just relax my wrists, which is really nice. Or if I'm streaming, you need to have the dock to be able to plug it in. So there was no reason at all for me to get a Switch Lite unless it was for like puzzle games or something. But I really like the prospect of a potential Switch Pro.
Me as well. Just
because I don't think they need
a better version.
Yeah, I don't think they need. They have it. They have the gem. The Switch is the greatest thing that's happened in Nintendo like ever. Like they have it, and so it's might as well just work on some of the issues, work on the Joy-Con issues, work on the the processing, work on the battery life, just
the OS.
Take what you have and just improve on it,
I would honestly just like to see an OS overhaul, even if it involves a new version.
Dude, give me some folders, give me a theme, something, man.
Maybe some social features that you don't need an app for on your phone, maybe some built into the Switch.
It's
better
honestly,
Wi-Fi adapters.
I think a kind word for it is pathetic. That's like me being.
There's no social
kind.
features.
That's me being as kind as possible.
Yep.
And
they've always lacked it though. They've never had it.
Yeah. And the sad part is, I don't think it's on their radar.
I don't think it is either because they don't. People who are like want to go out of their way to have a social experience while playing games on the Switch will do the app. For games like Animal Crossing, or they're using something else to talk, or Mario Party, whatever.
It only allows you to play a certain amount of games. It's not just like, all right, every game on the Switch, you just got to use the app. It's like, no, there's maybe a list of 20 compatible games, if that.
Yep. No one wants to put the time into the extra development process that it takes.
All right, let's tone it down a little bit.
All right.
Tone it down a little bit. Really excited.
Super excited.
Yeah, we got a lot of games coming out in gaming, and we got the next gen. Should be a fun time for the podcast, fun time for gaming, fun time for everyone. All right, let's tone it down a little with our random funny question of the week. This was my turn.
It is your turn,
Brodey.
Oh boy,
ready?
No, never ready.
If you were the 8th dwarf, what would your name be?
Hungry. It would either be hungry or something like music related.
I like, dude.
'Cause
Let's do hungry. That's.
I like hungry. I'm always singing, and I think it's a problem.
I know. Would
But,
hunger fall
yeah.
into the category of one of the others?
Is there? There's mopey, sneezy, right? Sneezy. That's one of them. Sleepy, bashful, happy.
Damn, I looked it up too before. I'm trying to remember.
I
them
don't think
all.
hungry is one of them. No, I don't think there's a hungry one.
No, I
Let's
meant
take a
like
quick
would
one.
it. I didn't mean there was a hungry one. I meant like would that kind of. You know how like greed, like when it comes to like the sins, like greed,
Yeah.
like that's very broad and that could equal like a lot of things. Like hunger could be greed.
Right. Gotcha.
I guess. I don't know.
Mm.
Anyways, so if you were the 8th dwarf, your name would be Hungry.
Hungry. Yeah.
I like
I like
that.
hungry.
I like that. I
What
think I
about
would
you?
be.
You got an idea?
What would I be?
Nerdy.
Nerdy. That's actually a really good one. I already used nerd though on
You
the
did,
one word
yeah.
T-shirt. Maybe like chili.
Chilly.
Not-
Always cold.
No, not even cold. Just chilling.
I know.
And I'm freezing right now.
Constantly just like, oh, what's everyone up to? Vibey.
Vibey, that's a good one. I like nerdy. I like vibey. Yeah, chili. I think chili's fun, but it could also be like. I think
Welcome
people
to
would
Chili's.
instantly think. I think people would instantly think like cold. You know.
Exactly. Yeah.
But anyways,
Hungry and chilly, the 8th and 9th dwarfs.
right. All right, so a couple weeks back, one of my favorite segments is our random generated game segment. Brodey and I decided to pick a random game from the PS2's library. This time around, I got a game called Shepherd's Crossing, and Brodey got a game called Wild Arms 4, I believe.
Correct.
You want to what's Wild Arms 4 all about, man? What do you got?
Yeah.
What do you got?
This was a ride, let me tell you. So Wild Arms 4 is a JRPG made by Media Vision that came out in 2005 in Japan and then 2006 in the US. Obviously, it is in a series of Wild Arms games, and I have no idea what the other games entail because I didn't even look them up. I just wanted to kind of like take in Wild Arms 4 as it is. I kind of do want to go back and look like what the rest of them are, but basically you follow the story of Jude, who is this little boy who grows up in this isolated town that floats in the sky. It's like you kind of find this out a little bit later, but it's this town that's encapsulated in this dome that's floating like thousands of miles above the surface or whatever, the planet, the continent. I don't really know the lore, but basically intruders attack this town and blow a hole in this dome, and they like kind of invade the town, and you kind of like go and investigate what's going on. You kind of get in like the fray of the situation, and it turns out these people have captured a girl, which is it's the first time for some reason the character has ever seen a girl, like a young girl. It's kind of weird. And basically what happens is they're looking for the secret artifact. You absorb the artifact and like take in its power, and you become like crazy, and you kind of start the destruction, which causes the town to fall to the surface. And that's where I stopped playing. But that took me like 2 hours to get through, so it was a good like intro and kind of introduction to like the game and the mechanics and stuff. But basically it's a combination of almost like a 3D 2D exploration game. It has this hex grid fighting system that lets you move around, kind of similar to what we talked about a few weeks ago. And in each grid you have like a certain set of abilities that the characters can do. You have like a mana pool, HP, skills, stuff like that. And it's pretty fun. I honestly had a good time with it. The dialogue and the voice acting was a little bit cringy, but as expected of a JRPG that's kind of that old.
What do you mean by cringy? Like badly translated, didn't age well, sounds like
It could
crap?
have been the translation.
Okay.
It sounds good. It's just like the lines, like the writing is kind of mostly the cringy part.
Okay.
You know? Yeah. But overall, like you heard me, I was still having like a fun time with it. You know, it was enjoyable for the few hours that I played. Definitely my favorite game so far out of the random ones.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's been
yeah.
like 4 or 5 of them, so they must
Exactly.
have
Maybe
series must have something going for it.
Yeah, Hydro Thunder might have a little bit above it because of like the nostalgia, but it was still honestly
No, I meant there were like
enjoyable
4
to play.
or 5 in the series because that's Wild Arms 4,
right.
you know, and I think there was like a 5 and a.
That is what I'm curious to like, see, like the evolution, like kind of what is the best out of all of them. So I kind of want to do a little research after this, but yeah, it was interesting. I'd give it like, from what I played, a solid like 7 out of 10, I think. Maybe like a 6.5, 7 out of 10. Yeah, I think that's all I got about it. It was a time.
Interesting. That actually sounds interesting. And I say that because my game lacked interest or ing.
You didn't like Shepherd's Crossing?
So at first glance, this was like I'm like, oh, this is clearly a, you know, like Harvest Moon styled knockoff, you know, whatever type game. You know, you boot it up, you're at a farm. The music's so cheerful and all the characters are so loving and nice. And it's actually not really a Harvest Moon like game at all. So I didn't get this game at first. I tried so hard to get it. Like, so when I was playing that first hour that we were talking, and I was just playing in the background, I was most of that time was me trying to figure out what to do. And I wanted to know so bad. So like, over the past couple nights, dude, I've been watching video reviews of it. I've been watching speed runs of it just to see like what people do and just like how this game freaking operates, man. And so basically you got like, you're this little kid and you're at a farm, you know, like how any other one of these like farm games would start up. You got the pretty music, the cheerful cast of characters. You got this little picture like the Untitled Goose Game Goose with just like a little bonnet on, and he's just like your Navi of the game, just like kind of helps you out, and he's so annoying but so charming. But this game acts as more of like a trade / like barter type game. So rather than like a Harvest Moon where you're kind of growing and becoming, you know, a bigger and better farm, you're more of trying to maintain and not like die off. You know, so it's just like it uses your typical trade aspect. So it's like, okay, I need, you know, meat, or I need I don't know, cabbage to grow, or I need cabbage to, you know, feed to my animals and stuff like that. So in order to get that, you need to plant you need to like plant carrots that get you carrots, and then you need to trade it with this guy that gives you this, and then, you know, trade it with this person that gives you that. So it's kind of like you gotta kind of know like what you get for what. So it's like, all right, in order to get meat, I need this, you know, so you work at getting that. It felt very bare bone for the most part. You basically, you just got like a scythe. You're at this farm which isn't big at all. You're stuck in this. I can't really give like a dimension, you know, because it's a video game.
Yeah.
But you're just stuck in this really small area where literally you just have like a fenced in area with a couple like rabbits in it and stuff. And in order, you know, to get more rabbits, you got to get the rabbits to mate, you know. And little things that affect the game, like quote unquote strategy, is, you know, just say you put your rabbits in like a smaller cage, they'll mate quicker, you know. But if they're in like a bigger area, it might take them like longer to mate. If you plant seeds in like a certain side of your farm, like say under shade or something, like they'll, grow differently and stuff like that.
Right.
These aren't my typically like my main, not my main, but like my style of game, I should say.
Yeah.
And the worst part about it is there was no help or navigation or anything. They just throw you in this game, and there's very little NPC interaction. The Navi type goose character doesn't tell you like anything you need to know. You want to try to learn more about, say the rabbits or something, or like what they're, how much do they need to be fed, or how often do they breed, or stuff like this. You have this little diary that you can look into. So I go to the diary to look up, rabbits, and I don't have the data for it. So like it's like blanked out, so I can't click on rabbits. I'm like, how do I what do I do? Like I'm trying to just learn, and literally nobody tells you anything. You don't even understand the purpose of the game. The first half hour I literally was convinced it was a Harvest Moon style game where you just like grow your farm, expand, and all that stuff, when it's actually more of a you go through the seasons and you're just trying to make your farm survive. There's really no like growth. It's more of just like maintaining, and
Harsh life on the farmstead.
Maybe there is a little more to it that I'm missing. Granted, I only played probably like 2 hours of it, but I did watch a lot of it. And one of the people that I was watching play was literally going through the same mindset that I was when they first turned on the game.
What is this?
They just like couldn't figure out what to do, and they're and as they were learning it, they were just like, oh, so I guess I do this to do that. And I don't know, it's a very bare bone game if you're into like chill time killers, like having that farm of your, I don't even want to call it a farm, because it makes it sound like it's some like big thing, when it's really just like this little closed off area. And there's no like, like Stardew Valley, it's just like, all right, you start off in this area and then you just go right and there's this town, and then
exactly,
like all this, and it's so like big and cool, and
it's
this
just
is, it's like farm, you're just like you're locked into this area, and it's just like you're trying to figure out like how to mate these animals. You're trying to figure out how to like grow the, like with it's, man,
you got a rough pick.
I wanted so hard to just to figure it out. So it was more of like a self-challenge rather than doing it for the podcast at this point.
Right.
I was just like, dude, I gotta figure this out. Like, am I missing a place? There's no menu that gives you controls. There's literally nothing. And I'm just like, I have to be missing something. And turns out I'm really not. So man, that was a wild ride.
You got family dogged, basically.
I got family dogged. Did you understand Family Dog though? Like, did you understand the controls and how to move?
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Like this game, you can teleport. I'm like, teleport?
Oh wait, what the?
Like you can go from like here to like here. It's like, why wouldn't I just walk? Like what reason would I need to teleport?
You have teleportation technology and you can't figure out how to mate rabbits? Like, what the hell?
Like, dude, I just want to get it. I just want to get it. Like I didn't get to the part where, the winter hits. So obviously I'm sure there's a lot more, obstacles that I'm sure there's like, all right, you got to do this with the animals during winter, and maybe you got to feed them more. I'm sure it gets into like, it's whatever it wants to call depth. But man, it was just like, yeah, I feel like you either find this game peaceful or you find it boring.
Right.
Like there's no like, I think the person that finds it peaceful doesn't think it's good. I just think they're into that type of game. But by no means does this game have any game features or anything that makes me want to go back into it or try to understand it more. It's just very, very weak. The things that shine most are literally the graphics are awesome. And the music is great, but I mean, then again, you get this fire music at the opening screen. An hour into your play, it's the same music playing over and over and over, and you're just like, oh, spare
Make it
me.
stop.
Like, I want to try to like find the charm in the redeeming factors of this game. Like, I
Yeah.
wanted to look for them, but I think this is really a very niche game. I think it's a niche within a niche. Like, if
Hmm.
you gotta enjoy the farming, um, like simulator games, so that's a niche right there. And then you have to like, this is like a niche within that niche, you know?
Right, right.
A game like this, it's so it's a lot. It's a lot,
Sounds
and by
like
a
it.
lot, I mean it's not a lot.
It's nothing.
Um, but
Well, damn.
that's Shepherd's Crossing for the.
What's your rating?
I don't think I can give it one, dude.
A family dog out of 10.
A family dog out of 10. That's my rating. All
You
right,
love to hear it.
all right, Brody. So we're gonna get into our top three to end off the cast. In the meantime, while you give us your number three, I am gonna prep us for our games, our randomly generated games for next week or 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. So Brody and I decided on the GameCube. Brody got
F.
F and I got K.
Right.
So Brody, while I find your game, the top three for this week, as voted by the friends, voted by the listeners. I think that's the best word.
Listeners, sure.
Top three boss battles. If you wanted to start maybe with a couple honorable mentions, I know this is a very loaded top question.
I think this was the most difficult one yet. I thought soundtracks was hard, but man, I had a tough time with this. And I will give the forewarning of spoiler alert for this one because there are some, like later in the game boss fights, and I'll probably talk about it a little bit too. But for the honorable mentions, I'll just list off a couple, and I do have some that are in the top three, so I'll wait until then. But starting off, I have Ornstein and Smaug. I think Smaug. I can never pronounce it right. From Dark Souls, which is I think who you had left off on in your run. It is an incredible boss fight. I have the Ghost of Lady Comstock from BioShock Infinite. An amazing fight. And I have the Poseidon fight from God of War 3. Those are my three honorable mentions I will give right now.
All right, let me hit with my honorable mentions, and then I'll hit you with what you got for a game. And I think both of these are going to be very fun.
Let's go.
Okay, so for a couple of my honorable mentions, hold on. I think yeah, I don't know what happened to the jams. We're good though. Couple of mine. I had Ogre from Tekken 3.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. When I was a kid, getting to Ogre was so scary and mysterious because like you got put into this arena that you've never used before, and the music got wicked dark and airy, and it was just like, dude, he always kicked my butt. So just like, and the thing is, if you want to try him again, you have to go through like everything, like you have to play through the whole like story or whatever it was again.
Yep.
And that was one of those fights or boss battles that always stuck with me. I think one that doesn't require a lot of explanation was General Ram from Gears of War.
Oh yeah.
Man, it was such a good boss battle, and the best part about it was doing it with friends, man.
Yeah, if we can co-op, that is fun.
And my final one, which I had it between two. This one just missed the top three for me. But Taboo from Super Smash Brothers Brawl. So Super Smash Brothers Brawl was actually the first Super Smash Brothers to get like a story mode. And
Yeah.
it was so good. The Subspace Emissary from Brawl was
Mm.
like, I think it was one of the greatest things to happen to Smash. And I don't get it because Nintendo says that they want Smash to be more, like they're not into the competitive side of it and they want it to be family friendly. It's like, well, do another one of these. Like they
Yeah.
tried the storyboard map in Ultimate and it just wasn't as engaging.
It wasn't at all.
Um,
Yeah.
but the Subspace Emissary, dude, everyone had their own little story, and
It
it
was
was
pretty
just
great.
so
Yeah.
good. And the final boss was so freaking hard, but so much fun. He had the only thing
Is
that's
Taboo he's like the floating blue guy,
he
right?
was like, yeah, he was basically just like a godlike figure that was just kind of in the back.
Okay,
So
I
like,
do remember.
yeah, so it's not
It's
like
been so
Master Hand.
long.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. But yeah, dude, he had like this one hit KO move. You had to memorize his patterns, and
Yeah.
like depending on the character you were, like it was a different battle, and it was so much fun. I almost had that at number 3, but I think my number
Oof, that's
3
close.
I enjoyed a little bit more. But before we get
Cool.
into our top 3, Brodey,
What I get.
your game is a fairly odd parents breaking the rules.
No way. Let's go.
Fairly
I'm
odd
so
parents
excited.
breaking the rules is
Breaking the
your
rule.
your GameCube game. So
I think I remember this. I don't think I've played it, but I think I
I
remember
think I
this.
played it on like the Game Boy or something.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I think it had the same name, maybe. I
There was like a
forget.
port.
But I
Oh
ended
my
up
god, I do.
Brody, I actually ended up getting that game that you mentioned. I don't know if you
Ooh.
played it or you just heard
Hey,
of
the
it.
kangaroo.
The game is called KO the Kangaroo.
Let's go.
So I got
I'm so excited.
so I got K and Brody got F for the GameCube, and those will be our 2 games for
Oh man.
so that's should be exciting.
It's gonna be a good one
So
in
our
2 weeks.
oh man, this is such a tough one. Top 3 boss battles.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to
Brodenkainen,
do it.
what do you got for number 3, my friend?
I don't even know if I agree with my list. It was so hard. So, number 3 for me, this was between 2, and my second, it was one of my honorable mentions, is Sans from Undertale. You know,
Interesting.
and the honorable mention is Flowey.
Okay.
And we all know how insane that was. But yeah, Sans, oh my god, like I did not see that fight. Like I saw the fight coming, but holy shit, it like blows up. Like we all know how insane Sans is as a boss. He's like the meme of boss fights. You know, Megalovania is god tier for music. But man, that fight kicks you in the butt. And the worst part is, I think, is the entire time I'm fighting him, I'm like, no, like I don't want to beat him. Like he's not a bad guy, and you have
It's the
to kill him.
homie, dude.
He's the homie. Like, oh, it kicks you in the feels and it also kicks you in the butt at the same time. It's intense when you beat him. Like you feel so bad because he's all like worn down. He's still trying to fight you, and it's like, oh, what a ride. That boss fight, it will go down in the ages as one of the most intense, one of the most insane fights. So good. It's so good.
So at number 3, I had King K. Rool in specifically Donkey Kong 64. There were
So
there were a couple fun King K. Rool battles.
Mhm.
Specifically, I went with the one on Donkey Kong 64. This battle was so much fun, and it wasn't a battle. It was a duel. It was a wrestling match.
In
It was
the ring, I remember.
Dude, you're
it.
in the ring, and it was so great. You see everyone like stretching and warming up. You got like Lanky. He's just ready to
It's
go,
so
and
good.
and it's so good because it's like the perfect way to end the game. Like the spoiler alert if you haven't played Donkey Kong 64 from
Do it.
1996 or 8, or maybe 9, but
One of us.
this battle was so much fun because you got his spaceship which crashed onto the island, so it became like a part of the island, and the battle was so good because you had to utilize every single character's abilities. So for like for Diddy, for example, you're on your jetpack and you're flying around. You have to hit like certain things in the air that like knock like lights that like fall down onto him. For like Tiny, I think you had to like go small and like get inside his
shrink
shoe.
down.
Or,
Yep.
what was it?
I don't remember.
Yeah,
You had to shrink down and do something.
Yeah, you had to shrink down. I think you had to like go in his shoe and stub his toe or something. And it just it perfectly like everyone got their own little conclusion to the game, and you got to use their powers that got you through the game. And it was such a fun boss battle.
And
You had
just as silly as the rest of the game.
like
It's
the
perfect.
announcer dude was hilarious. Like dude, it's just the environment was like so funny and perfect, and
Mhm.
it was such a good boss battle.
Amazing.
Yeah, what do you got for number 2?
Number 2, I have Balder, or the Stranger from God of War, the newest God of War. Oh,
Spoiler alerts, by the way.
yeah, that's what I said. But yeah, forewarning,
Yeah.
obviously spoilers. We're talking about bosses here.
Man, this was a very he was a good character.
Holy shit! Yeah, first off, amazing character, but like that fight, like it literally blew me away. Like the rest of the game. This is the beginning of the game, so it's like the tone is kind of like low key, right? You're Kratos and his son, and you're kind of just like out in the woods, not adventuring, but you're going through some stuff and trying to get back. And then there's like that big ogre fight or troll fight, and you're like, okay, this is kind of like the God of War that I'm used to. And they get back, and then he shows up, and you're like, oh, this is just some dude. And we all remember the scene where he just like punches him, uppercuts him over the house, and you're like, holy shit.
That was like one of the earlier scenes in the game. Isn't that when you like first?
It's the very beginning, basically. Like you do that little side adventure, you come back, and then this is when like the actual game starts, basically. And you're just like you're like beating the shit out of him first, and he's just like, all right, like I didn't want to do it, and he just punches you over the house, and then the fight actually starts, and it's brutal. It sets the tone of the rest of the game. Like, oh, it's such a set piece. And what really blew me away is like the mechanics during the fight. It's like you're interacting with the environment. Like when you punch him near a tree, you're like smashing him into the tree. That game is such a masterpiece, and that fight kind of showed it in like full strength. Like I remember you close him between like a gap in the mountain or something. It's so cool. It sets the tone for the rest of the fight, or for the rest of the game, I mean, sorry. And it literally blew me away at its scale. Like, so good. It is what the God of War is about, is the intense boss fights. So good.
For real. Cool, that was a good one.
Yeah.
For number 2, I had Flowey in Undertale.
Okay. I was thinking Undertale would be on here.
So let me tell you why I specifically had Flowey, and why this will be a big boss fight for me, and a fond memory.
Mm-hmm.
So we were playing this on stream, right?
Yep.
And I don't know if you were there that day, but a Twitch account came in, and it was
Yes.
and it was Flowey.
It was Flowey.
It was Flowey, and it almost seemed like a application or a bot or something, because they were talking to us in the chat as if like they came out of the game and went into the Twitch chat just to like talk to us, to like taunt us in a fun way. Everything was, they weren't bad at all. I actually messaged the account after. I don't know if they were associated with the company, like Toby Fox or anything. I doubt it. But or maybe it was just like a super fan. But I messaged him after. I was like, yo, what you did was so much fun, and you were you made that battle so memorable to me. So like whenever something, like he was about to change form, he was like, he would say something along the lines of like, oh, you made me angry and this is happening now. And then like you know, in the game the dude will change form and it'll literally be like he was talking in Twitch chat to us, and it felt
That's
like the
wild.
actual Flowey, and it was such um it was such a memorable experience. On top of that, the boss fight was so hard, like so many
It's insane.
phases, and
Yeah,
it was so trippy, and it was just so
it gets
it was so
really trippy.
good. But I'll just
Hmm.
never get that. I'll never forget that time when like this person or whatever, I think it was just like a fan of Undertale, just
Hmm.
came in and they pretended they acted out as if they were Flowey, and they did it so perfectly, and
That's so
it was
cool.
so much fun, and I'll never forget it. It like honestly, if it wasn't for that moment, it probably would be more of a honorable mention rather than like a
That's
top
totally
one.
fair. Yep.
So what do you have for numero uno?
Oh man, this was tough. Um, for anyone who knows me, you can probably guess the game, but my number one boss fight, in my personal
I'd
opinion,
guess it, but I don't want to like ruin the moment.
totally fair, yeah, is
Wait. Let me say it in chat.
it is the 13th Colossus of Shadow of the Colossus, but it's not the final boss.
Drats.
There are
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot to
16
pick
or
from, right?
18. It was tough. It was tough. In my honorable mention, which I was choosing between, is the first. Because it's the first Colossus. It's like, oh my god, this is what the game is about. Um,
Yeah. I bet that memory of that boss
yeah,
battle
every
was
time
very
I go back
fond.
to it, every time I go back to that game, it's the same feeling, and that's why it's one of my favorite games of all time. But the 13th Colossus takes advantage of everything that makes the game amazing. So for anyone who doesn't know, the 13th Colossus, which I think his name is Phalanx, they all have really cool names. Um, it is this giant flying like sand worm bird or something, and it has these big air sacs on its belly,
Same.
um, that lets it float. So when you arrive in the area, it comes out of the sand, and it's like this huge spectacular set piece, and it starts flying around. So what you have to do is you have to ride on aggro, and you have to pull out your bow and trail it, and then you need to aim your bow up, and you need to shoot it in its air sacs. And when you get all the air sacs starting to deflate, it'll come down to the ground, and it like skids and flies like on the sand, which then you need to ride up on aggro, jump on him, and that's when you start fighting the boss. But once its air sacs replenish, it takes you up into the air with it. So it's like this huge scale of a monster taking you up into the air, and then you're fighting it close up on the ground at the same time, and you can fall off and you have to rinse and repeat. But when you're on it, it's still trying to get you off at the same time. Like it's doing barrel rolls and like shaking and stuff. It's incredible. It is my favorite boss because it everything that the game does well, it does in one single fight. Um, it's beautiful, like just like every Colossus, killing it is sad. Like it's never like a happy thing when you defeat one of those bosses. It's every time. I think that's the one that I'm really just like, this is like super fucking intense, because you're like riding on the back of your horse, you're not just kind of like running around, you're chasing it. And then like, oh, yeah, I could go on about this, but number one, Phalanx 13th Colossus. Your turn.
Number one, I have Trainer Red
Oh,
from Pokemon Gold and Silver.
what a good choice.
I
I
know.
love that.
The thing with Trainer Red was it was so like ominous, and like when I was a kid, you think the game is done, but there's this extra bit where you have to climb like this wicked brutal mountain, a little similar to Victory Road, a
Mm-hmm.
little more hard, obviously. And you get to the top, and this trainer is so ominous. Like they don't say any words, and they just I think it's like you get like a dot 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 or something when you battle them,
Yep.
and it's Trainer Red, who is clearly, you know, kind of like the quote unquote Ash. Obviously, Ash and Red are two different entities, but you know they have the party that you think um you would get from like the original Pokemon game. It was
Yeah.
the part so we started off with a high level Pikachu. I want to say it was like level 80 something, 81, 83. He had a Pikachu, a Snorlax. He had the 3 starters. So Venusaur, Blastoise, Charizard, and I think the last one was an Espeon, I think. But the so the battle, I mean, it was hard. It was so hard, but it was so much fun because I just remember the 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 ominous atmospheric presence around reaching the peak of this extra content, quote unquote,
Yeah.
to get to that battle and having it just being so like literally he has no words for you. And and then that's when all the all the links and the theories and the conspiracy things just start like unfolding and stuff like that. But this battle was so much fun. It was a great way to end off second gen. I think they did a great job, man. I really do stand behind Gold and Silver being some of the greatest games, not even just Pokemon, of all time. And yeah,
Agreed.
that's it. It's Trainer Red from
That's awesome.
Gold and Silver.
It's so weird because like you kind of don't think about them as bosses, but when you obviously they are,
Yeah, it's
It's
literally
cool.
the
It's really
quote
cool.
unquote final boss,
Yep.
of
Love it.
Pokemon. And just because it's like you don't want to take anything away from that. I think Pokemon deserves to have bosses. Like
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
like
yeah.
Elite Four trainer battles.
Gym
Like
leaders.
organization final battles and stuff like that. Those
Yep.
are all really tough battles.
They're super tough.
All right, cool. Any closing statements, Brody?
I don't think
Before
so.
we end it off, I think all
Thank
I
you
got
all
to
so
say
much.
is yeah, anyone that was hanging out today, thank you so much. Today is the calm before the storm, and tomorrow begins a new era of gaming with the PS5 releasing. Shout out to
Everyone
all
get
the
hype.
gamers out there. Shout out to anyone that's excited for the new consoles. I can't wait to possibly tonight dive into some Godfall. Maybe we'll see what's
We're
going
starting
on.
it off right. Starting the 12th off right.
But
For anyone,
yeah.
please follow on Twitch, twitch.tv/pauliePK. Follow us on Twitter, the Did You Save PC, I believe, at Did You Save PC. And we also have a YouTube channel where the VOD goes up. It is just Did You Save on YouTube.
And all Discord discussions, any top 3 suggestions or anything is going to be done through the Discord, which is the Brodenkainen, which is Brody's Discord. We have a section there just for the podcast. And yeah, anything through Twitter and Discord. And guys, we're literally always searching for main topic discussions, and we're always searching for top 3 suggestions. Basically, we pull top 3 suggestions from whatever people suggested, then we'll throw a poll on Twitter. It's a fun time.
Absolutely.
Cool. So I think that'll call it for today. Thank you so much,
That wraps
Brody.
it up. GG's.